Gary Whited is a poet, philosopher, and psychotherapist. He grew up on the plains of eastern Montana, and a strong sense of place pervades his poems, he says, whether that place is the prairie, the city, or the inner spaces we inhabit. Having listened, his book was selected as the winner of the 2013 Homebound Publications Poetry Contest, and the next year received a Benjamin Franklin Silver Book Award. It has also been translated, it's a bilingual translation, isn't it, into Russian and English. His poems have appeared in several journals, including Salamander, our own, Salamander, Plain Songs, the Auroran, Atlanta Review, and Comstock Review. He's currently working on a new translation of the entire poem of the 5th century BCE Greek thinker Parmenides. I should also note that Gary, along with Parmenides, his translation thereof, participated a couple of years ago in a day-long conference here at Suffolk. It was sponsored by the philosophy department, and it addressed the perennial and, really important question about poetry and its place in society. Or putting it more bluntly, why did Plato banish poets from his ideal republic? The philosophy department, by the way, presented it dialectically. It said poetry versus philosophy. Is that it? And I thought that philosophers would put it that way, right? Anyway, Plato banished poets because he pointed out they held up images of the truth or truths. From a more strict Platonic perspective, he would say they were images of images of the truth, because even our sense of ordinary reality is nothing but an image. That is to say, the poets could only issue the most unreliable reports on the nature of reality. Reason and its dialectical, logical sorting out of things is far better as our guide in life and in thought. Now, much as I love Plato and Socrates, and I have indeed been unfair to them just now, for surely Plato was a poet in his own right, we in this room naturally want to argue the case for keeping poets and poetry in our ideal republic. A philosophical poet such as Parmenides, for instance, reminds us, in Gary's translation of Fragment 9, quote, "All is full at once of light and hidden night." It's a remark that suggests that in our actual experience, uncertainty vies with clarity, the night with the light, and vice versa. I think the construction of the sentence implies each is within the other, each is a part of the other. The simultaneous presence of full light and hidden night is a useful way to think of Gary Whitehead's poems. There's plenty of light, as many of them are set under the big sky of Montana, and along the vast plains and farmlands of that place. Quote, "Wind sweeps across this prairie." And that's the beginning of prairie. This picture, I'm sorry, I'm going to do that again. "Wind sweeps across this picture. So begins prairie," the first poem in Having Listened. But the poem ends on some advice or a request. "Do not forget the badger who digs alone into the sod and the silence." I kind of think of that as, in the sod is kind of dark. Or take a poem like Shadow Builders, where Gary writes, "No matter the wood, every fence post sends out its shadow." This play of light and shadow together is fundamental to Whitehead's art, and it comes to him, I think, in matters of belief, in reminiscence about coming of age, in elegies for parents aging and dying, in matters of eros and thanatos, love and grief. It comes too in the spare form of his relatively short lines in his poems, for around them is bountiful white space, and that white space is often a silence. In these poems, you can hear the silence of the deep and wide open spaces. You can imagine a few trees here and there, a line of fencing, a declension that suggests a creek, a hawk flying overhead, and a person leaning on a fence post listening. So let's listen to Gary and extend our welcome to him.